Welcome to Public Eye on the Bridge Nation. I'm Ronnie Thwaites. This is the Bridge 99 FM. We reach out to Jamaicans in every corner, every crevice and corner, spell crevice, for the world, wherever Jamaicans are. And aren't we everywhere? The idea is to bring us together. Whether you can listen to us live, whether you're here or there, whether you have to tune in to all of our internet connections. Can I give them to you? You're always welcome. Live stream is www.thebridge99fm.com. Instagram, it's at thebridge99fm. And the YouTube channel is Bridge99fm. Good. Our phone numbers, 876-676-4996, brings you straight into the studio in St. Andrew, Jamaica. And there's a WhatsApp and text line that you're very welcome to use. Absolutely free of cost, 876-551-5782. Every Wednesday, we bring you the issues of the day in Jamaica, and we tell you about the things that concern us from abroad, maybe where you are, and how they impinge upon our life, our liberty here in this land. No gossip, no slander, just facts and reasonable analysis, which you're more than welcome to participate to. We continue to explore some of the societal problems with an open mind and seek to find solutions. The original jingle of the Public Eye in the 1970s was the public eye and the open mind. Yes? So we recover that and we offer it to you as an opportunity to share, as an opportunity to learn, as an opportunity to become more cooperative, more tolerant, more compassionate, more loving. How about that? This morning on the early rise with my co-host, Chief Pearnel Charles, we had a scintillating discussion with Jamaican twin sisters, Miss Keisha Thorpe and Dr. Tricia Thorpe, about the ways in which they have been blazing trails in education, sport in the United States. Keisha, you remember, won the Global Teacher Prize in 2021 for her work with low-income, first-generation American immigrant and refugee students. We need her to tell us more about this, not only on the radio as she's done, yes, but also to groups of educators, people who she can share with and give a perspective of what can be done, because so many of our children are hurting, and so we'd love to have that more and more. This is what the Bridge offers. This is what we're going to keep. And her sister, yes, Tricia, she is doing wonders work. She's a teacher, a university teacher, but more than that, they have founded an organization to help students like ours in Jamaica who need to go on to tertiary education, need to finish, and are anxious to do so debt-free. Did you hear them this morning? How avid they were on that point. Listen, let's try and get you through college without having a massive student debt afterwards. That's important, eh? And that's the key element of what we have to say. And in congratulating them and in encouraging others. To me, that interview, those people indicated what's good about Jamaica and how we all should live. They're getting ahead with their lives, but they're doing so within the context of quintessential care for everybody else's life. And that's what we can do. Yes? There, the example that we give, and here, same thing. So there you are. Thanks again for being a part of the Bridge Nation. We're building an audience. We're doing something that hasn't been done before. Not just this once in a while phone up somebody in the diaspora and ask them how things are going, but rather to develop a whole radio station linked technologically with stations all over the diaspora, opening the riches of the internet and social media to the excitement of life in Jamaica, the prospects of participation. Yes? What did one of our guests say yesterday? Involvement, not necessarily influence, but involvement. That's what the diaspora seeks. That's what we defend. In our show today, during Educate Jamaica, yes, that's an important segment, we'll be joined by the Acting Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education and Youth, Dr. Kasan Troupe. She wants to discuss with us, and we're anxious to engage her on face-to-face schooling, all the matters relating to back to school, which so many students have been invited to resume in the last few weeks, but which is, of course, fraught with all kinds of difficulties as the insidious Omicron makes its way through the society. We can't give up there. We really can't give up. If there's one element of the argument done position that I agree with, is that the schools have to find a way to stay open. Some have closed, yes, and one understands if that's the difficulty. But if, in fact, we can get the rotational education going for our children, it's better than nothing. And then we have to hope, pray, arm ourselves, protect ourselves so that our children can get back to school. Big question for you. Where a teacher, where a parent, where an older student is resolutely anti-vax, why should the others suffer or be prejudiced because of that person's position? Why must those who believe in protecting themselves be held to ransom, can't go to school, okay? Because of others, because of that, those who will not ascribe to the scientifically based, government-mandated precautions. Did you hear the statistics? Pearnel was so anxious to share that with me this morning, and he's so right. Over 90%, they say 98% was it, of those people in Jamaica who have died of COVID are the unvaccinated. How much more persuasion do you want? How much more encouragement? Life is what? It's at stake. Your life? Okay. I was listening to an item on the radio, some foreign station earlier on, where a woman who, in her anti-vax passion, said she wanted purposely to contract COVID. Yes, she wouldn't vaccinate. She wanted to contract COVID. And she did. She exposed herself. She got the COVID. Yes, announced it on social media, everything. You know what happened to her? She dead. So, don't know how the talking can help anymore. How many more examples do we want? That's an extreme one, but it is evidence of what stubbornness and contrariness and downright thoughtlessness and stupidity, recklessness can cause. You see, that's the difficulty. In our global connections, later today, President of the Union of Jamaica Alumni Associations, they call themselves, and we call them UJAA. Yes, Lesleyann Samuels. Lord, she's been giving of herself so long in that regard. It's so impressive. A leader of vision and passion in Jamaica's education sector with over 30 years of experience in several non-profit organizations. She'll join us to talk about an education seminar being hosted next week by UJAA, the Union of Jamaican Alumni Association. Hey, wherever you live in the diaspora, check out UJAA, Canada, Britain, anywhere in the US, yes? And join them, because one of the most meritorious, virtuous things that you can do is to help the high school or the primary school that you went to in Jamaica. You heard the two Thwaites sisters this morning speak about their experience in Trelawney first and then at St. Andrew High School. Yeah, they're not turning their back on that. They're going to help. Many of our schools in Jamaica, don't fool, I know what I'm saying. Yes, they are kept alive by the consideration, by the donation, by the love and the interest of the alumni all over the world. So that's a big, big way of connection, of engagement that we can undertake. So please support the Jamaican Alumni Associations. UJAA, Lesleyann Samuels joins us later on this program. We'll have our usual New York connection with Beau-regard, the one and only, live from the studios of our sister station, Irie Jam Radio in New York. We're not ordinary on the bridge, Yes, we connect up all over the place. The bridge doesn't have only one span. It has many. Please join the bridge, Bridge Nation, by calling our phone line 876-676-4996. We'd love to hear from you. And in the tri-state area, you can join the discussions by calling 1-888-546-8742. Coming up, Education Jamaica, the segment with Dr. Kasan Troupe. And our friend Chief Pearnel Charles is joining us on the Bridge 99. We'll be back. Dr. Kasan Troupe, greetings, afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Rev, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you very much. And we have...
both of you are making mistakes. Good morning. So I'm not going to, but I just made a mistake. I should have said, good afternoon, Doctor.
The Honorable Pearnel Charles joins us. Can you believe it?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Charles,
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Dr. Troupe, you're the lady on the bridge of education these days. Children are hoping to go back to school. We're broadcasting on the bridge to people in the diaspora, many of whom are enduring cold and difficulties in order to send something back so that their children, their grandchildren can go to school. How is it going so far? This is the most difficult times. Tell us what's happening with Back to School Jamaica.
Thank you so much, Rev. I just want to say to our public that things are going well at our institutions. They are happy. I can tell you parents are very happy that we have been able to include in the opportunities for learning face-to-face, especially for those students who are in the lower grades.
Yeah.
You would know, Rev, that we started out last year with giving the opportunity to our students who are preparing for their exit examinations. And so the other students in the grades 1 to 4, the grades 7 to 9, they have not been given the opportunity to be back. So I can tell you there is much excitement, but a lot of work went into getting the schools ready. So we had to work with the Ministry of Education to make sure that persons are safe. You know, we are in a pandemic, and whatever we do, we must make sure that safety is not compromised. So we went back through all our schools. Our 983 schools had to be re-inspected by the Ministry of Health and had to be approved as COVID compliant, in addition to other institutional health issues that we had to treat with to make sure that we would have got the approval from the Ministry of Health. I can proudly say to the public that 99% of all our schools have been approved safe to operate face-to-face.
Really? That's great.
99%. Getting that approval, Rev?
Yeah. That's great.
In getting that approval, our school had to make sure that wash stations were in place, that a cleaning schedule was in place and being implemented. They had to make sure that physical distancing is observed. They had to make sure that the lunch arrangements would have been organized so that we don't have bundling and that nothing is done within our schools to, put the students at risk of being exposed to the COVID virus. Temperature checks have to be done at the entrance point and of school. Sanitization has to be done. And these are recorded data, so we can also pull back on that in the event that there's an issue that we have to treat with. In all our schools, we have to put in isolation rooms. This is a requirement from the Ministry of Health in the event that there's an elevated temperature or somebody is not feeling well, that those persons are isolated and they are treated with according to the protocols of the Ministry of Health. So those are the things that we have been doing to make sure that face-to-face is possible for our learners.
As difficult as all of those are, I want to put it to you and to our listeners, you Pearnel, that these measures involve a discipline, involve an ordering of life, which can only be good for our future, Difficult though they may be right now, it's good if we are learning how to take more careful attention to our own needs and particularly to the needs of others, wouldn't you say?
Well, Doctor, although I am not actively in the political forum, I will tell you, I am so excited. Yeah. I'm so pleased to listen to what she has just said.
Yes.
Because if this work, and I'm saying if because of this social culture that I recognize is around us, if this work, it cannot be paid for. Our teachers cannot be paid. Money has absolutely nothing to do, although you have to have it.
They need some more, Pearnel.
You understand?
Yes.
And they get it abroad, but this is Jamaica. Ronnie, you never have to come back to Jamaica. You were in America when I was there. You were doing big school. I was in bigger school. We never have to come back. I was making more money driving a cab than any top class man in Jamaica.
Yes. Hold on now. Let me ask. What is the attendance of the children like, Dr. Kasan? Because that is a litmus test. Are people finding their way back to school?
We're seeing an increase, Rev, over the last 2 weeks that we have started. In the first week, we were able to account for 61% of our students. And that is also because the students were scheduled at different times. So not everybody was expected to be there in the first week, given the reorientation that had to take place. Some schools also scheduled exams, and as you know, Rev, they are not in every day for exams. But in the second week, we saw an increase where we are up to 68% of our students being accounted for, and that covers for the online experience, the face-to-face experience, and the use of the audio visuals as well. So we still have a great number of students that we are interested in. We're watching to see what will come through for this week, because most of our schools are now out. All our high schools have been approved for face-to-face following from last week. We have 978 schools approved. We still have a few schools not yet approved, about 7, and we're working on those. But we should see far more numbers accounted for this week, because they're concluding their examination period, and we should be going back into the full implementation of the curriculum. But we are still seeing students not present that we need to find.
Yeah.
We have from our principals roughly 15,000 names and addresses that we have plugged into our Family Connect app that we have developed to work with our family intervention officers that we are deploying into the field to find these students. So there's going to be an intense work in the field to locate and re-engage those students who have been disengaged from the system.
Last week, there was a very passionate gentleman, I believe of your acquaintance, who was telling us of the yard-to-yard initiative that Minister had mentioned.
Yes.
Can you give us an update on that? Are we able, do we have the pluck, do we have the human resources, Pearnel, to go from yard to yard, whether it's in Clarendon or in Kingston or wherever, and really encourage those parents, those children to come back to school, you think?
Yes, so we have made some progress. We just yesterday, the technical team met with all the principals who are supposed to be benefiting from this support.
Yes.
As you know, Rev, this is just a layer of support. You know, we have our guidance counselors and our dean of disciplines and other traveling officers in the field supporting this initiative. This 400 persons, just 470 something persons, just an additional layer to find. So what we have seen now, we have gotten evidence from our principals that they have engaged and they have deployed. We are processing the payments, to make sure that that kind of resource is in our school to settle the emoluments surrounding this. Though there was a little hesitation around that, and principals were expressing some concerns. We treated with that yesterday in our technical meeting, and persons are now deployed. We are also pulling on our school buses, Ronnie. We have 80 school buses in the system, and we are pulling on this resource to organize for the persons to be deployed in groups in a particular space, so persons are safer and they are supported as they are going into these communities. Some of them, as you know, are volatile areas.
Well, there you are.
Doctor, there's a double-barrel one that I am begging you to look at. Parent Teachers Association.
How can they help?
Bring the parents in, because it's a double-barreled. If they take the vaccine, the children will easily get it.
And there'll be less fear in sending them out to school.
Less fear, yeah.
Yes. So what we have done with the National Parent Teacher Association of Jamaica, they sit on our e-COVID task force, which is a task force our minister has put in place to guide the reopening and the recovery activities under the COVID conditions. And they have committed to pulling on their PTAs to support the efforts at the school level. We will need volunteers, first and foremost, to help with those rotations at the gate and the sanitization protocols and so on. A number of schools have been pulling on those parents already. We will also need to reassure those parents who are fearful, and so we have been in our PTA meetings sharing with them and building the confidence that they can trust what we have done and what the schools have been doing, so they can send back their students to school. We have been making the appeal for those who need help to report to their schools. Rev, you are not strange to this. We have always had welfare activities in our schools.
Sure.
And so we have asked parents, if you are troubled, if you are stressed at this time, if things have gone bad because of the pandemic, reach out to our schools. A number of activities are in place to put uniforms in the hands of parents, to provide transportation support for parents who need that.
Really?
And also the nutritional support for parents who need that.
That's
Doctor, you should be sitting beside this former Minister of Education to see his excitement as if that is what I would like to do. That is what I want to hear. But the truth is, I'm not leaving out myself.
No.
I was responsible for the social worker program, where social workers were sent to every overseas worker home. Now your social workers who are looking to look for children, they can do a double barrel by talking to parents about getting the vaccine.
Okay, but let me
getting
ask.
The vaccine and getting the students out, and we're going to be supporting these
get the children.
The NPSC. The NPSC will be working with us to make sure that the training is provided to these parents and the emotional and psychosocial support, because they too are being affected emotionally by this trauma.
Right.
Let me ask you though, all of us. Omicron is a curveball that's just inserted into all of these plans and initiatives. How is that changing the people's attitude, the mood, the likely attendance, the response of the teachers? How do you see it?
Well, to be honest, what we have picked up is a sense of fear, and that is understandable. There's a
fear for what?
For being in the space. They have been out of the physical space for a while. And notwithstanding that we have put the protocols in place and we have the seal of approval from the Ministry of Health, there is this general fear from some teachers and some parents and some students. And we saw that when we did the evaluation of the first phase of the face-to-face activity. We did a robust evaluation of that process, and we saw where students expressed some fear and also teachers and parents. But we just have to continue reassuring them and also making sure that the other modalities are available and accessible so that they can use them in the event that they are not fully convinced that they are ready to put their students in the physical space.
What happens, there's an issue that Honorable Charles always raises with me about our teachers, because they are going to be so determinate in bringing confidence or otherwise to the back to school project. Dr. Kasan Troupe, talk straight to us. What kind of vibe are you getting from the teachers? Is there some reticence? Is there some encouragement that we need to administer in that field?
Yes, we as I said, there is general reluctance on the part of some persons. But can I tell you, Rev, if it's one thing that we can boast about in this pandemic, is the response of our teachers. From the moment we were pushed into the remote experience, unknown to us, our teachers made themselves available for training so they can navigate the virtual space. I can tell you that many persons, and you have seen the stories, the human interest stories, have made sacrifices to make sure that their students are connected and they are being engaged in their learning experiences. So our teachers have really been responsive. They have been sacrificial, and majority of them are making the strides to be in the space. Just last week, we saw over 14,500 and something teachers in the physical space, while others were permitted to work remotely based on how the learning programs are organized at their school. That is up from in the first week of 8,000 plus. So the teachers are coming out, and as you know, we had special arrangements with the Ministry of Health for those in the education sector to be vaccinated, and so many of them capitalize on that opportunity, and so we have a high take-up of the vaccination from the education staff members. And of course, Rev, you know that we have been rolling out the blitzes in our schools, and we have up to 35% of our students fully vaccinated at this time.
What percentage of your teachers are vaccinated?
I wonder.
Well,
do you know?
What percentage of the teachers are vaccinated?
I wonder. Do we have any figures on that, Dr. Kasan?
Don't have the teacher, the Ministry of Health.
Help us, please.
Yes, are you hearing me?
Yes, come back again.
Freezing a bit. Go ahead.
Yes. So I was explaining that the data that we get from the Ministry of Health has the combined data, which shows that approximately 95% of those who work in the education sector have at least one dose of the vaccine.
Wow.
We are looking good. We are looking good. We still have persons who are hesitant. We still have to complete the full course, but the take-up has been impressive.
Couple of granular things now. Miss, we know about and prize the order and the discipline, the uniformity that has to characterize the education process. But Miss, if parents not quite ready yet with the uniform and the school, please instruct the principals not to turn the children away from coming, please.
Yes. Our principals have been apprised of this, Rev.
Yeah.
We had a series of back-to-school meetings just before the
Okay.
start of the new term, and we have asked them to be supportive at this time, and that has been happening. We have not got any reports since the start of this term, especially in the second week of any situations of this nature. So our principals are making the sacrifices, and what they have been doing also is to provide the resource for those students in need.
Well, do they? That's another thing. Yes, go ahead.
They have uniforms, but the principals are helping in providing the uniforms as well.
Well, this is the key thing,
Yes,
because
this is key.
what Pearnel Charles often says on our broadcast together are that if the principals have more capacity to do things, just as you're saying, to
Yes.
help with the needs of a child, if they are able, if you could, in the Ministry of Education, encourage the Ministry of Social Security to allow principals, as a matter of routine, to quickly recommend those students who need to go on path.
Yes.
That would make. Am I reflecting your views?
100%.
Yes.
And when I was there, Ronnie,
Yes.
I'm taking blame that I didn't know of it because
Yes.
I didn't see to it that happened.
Yeah.
Right? But
Well,
I'm begging all my colleagues
no,
to
it's
make
fine.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So,
yes.
Ronnie and Honorable Charles, we have been working on that. And I want to say, for the yard-to-yard that you heard about last week, we are working now with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. So
Good.
once we gather that data in the Family Connect app, looking at the circumstances of the family, the Ministry of Labor is going to be working with us now to help these families that are in need.
Well, I do hope listen, that's not a giveaway. That's not charity. That is an investment. Do you agree?
I am prepared to.
In the future of our
yes.
country. We're all prepared to make sacrifices for that to happen, Every child must come back to school in the safest possible iteration as soon as possible.
May I ask you to take on one or two additional problems? Well, problem solvers. You see the parson in the area?
Yeah.
Yes.
You see the politician, you may not like the councillor and the MP. People complain to them.
Yeah.
Now, if they could transmit this complaint to the education ministry area, or even to the principal, since he now have a direct contact to the ministry. Because someone running who don't really want to talk to you, we talk to the pastor.
I have to say that from my experience, if you have an education problem and you go to the division, the head of the division, the region, I've never been turned back there, and I don't think it has to do with the fact that they just know me. They're really anxious.
No, they won't turn you back. But I'm saying the first step to
go to the
Miss
principal.
Birdie, who lived down at the bottom of Drum Street, who she want to talk to first. She's afraid sometimes we talk to some people,
It's true,
but she will talk to our teacher, our picnic teacher, right? Not
And
necessarily
the
the principal.
That's true. And so let's all, I hope that committee that you mentioned, Minister, has set up is very broad-based and can attract the kind of trust and confidence that is reposed in a wide variety of people. That's what we need for this surge.
Yes, all levels, Rev, that you can think of, from the youth right up, the university, the unions are there, JTA, the Principal Association.
Pearnel is requesting that the opposition have a say too.
Yes.
Well, I don't. There's no opposition in this.
Yes, there shouldn't be.
A councillor who is elected.
Whoever.
Whether whichever side you want, or MP.
Listen to
in
this.
fact,
that's the
even those who are aspiring to, you have this young generation. This is a national. Let me tell you something. I'm glad this lady doing it and not a politician. Because she's exciting me with this coverage. Maybe it was a politician looking vote, I wouldn't be so excited.
But that's exactly the relationship, and it has the added dimension that we're able to offer it in that we're talking to people abroad who have a vested interest in education and want to have the confidence of somebody like Dr. Troupe and the others who have been
But they are making a contribution, and they want to know that it is I tell you, it sounds so good, ma'am,
Yes.
that I'm glad you're the person making the presentation.
Dr. Kasan Troupe, in his report, Professor Orlando Patterson notes the
Yes.
difficulty, even in pre-COVID times, of attaining full attendance in school. And he says that a whole heap of our children, in fact, close in the primary level, he says 23%, which, wow, is very high, aren't in school, Pearnel, because of various reasons, but no lunch money, no transportation money, and boredom. Now,
Yes.
I'm interested that earlier on you said that the ministry had access to some buses. Public transportation is not, we're not short of that in Jamaica now. It's a question of organizing it for education. I'm anxious to know what your thoughts are to extend what you have now. And of course, you know we couldn't finish this without my asking how school feeding is ramping back up.
Yes. So we have definitely been working with the transport sector, Ronnie. We have an opportunity with the school buses, and I can tell you that the principals have been going beyond the call of duty to make
Yes.
those buses available to help their students to be in school. It's amazing to see how much the parents, the principals have extended the resources at the school to help the children.
How did they do it? They
we have
find
also been,
they find out because again the principal is key to this one, needs more responsibility.
Well, all the teachers report to the principal, you know.
Yeah, but I'm saying for transportation,
Yes.
a principal
Yeah.
who is listening to us or who is in contact,
How you make contact
he
to-
or she can make arrangements, suitable arrangements, to have as many students as possible delivered and taken back from their school.
yeah, yes, they can, and they have been doing that,
Okay, that's
especially
good.
since this pandemic.
Yes.
They have been extending that kind of support. And for those schools that are on the rural transportation program, the organization is around that, so our resources are provided and the resources are used to support this kind of extension. We saw even running where high schools were working with nearby primary schools to assist those students on the rural transportation program.
They should.
We have about 7,500 students benefiting from that across 250 schools
Right.
at a cost of $380 million in our budget, and that is to provide transportation support for students in need under the PATH program. So that has been working well. We have reactivated that. We have also extended it to the rail service that was recently launched.
Yes,
we
that's
have
interesting.
400 PATH students
Yes.
who have got their card, because the no cash system, to utilize that service to move back and forth from school. It's an extension of the support that we are providing to make sure that students can go to school safely and be on time.
Well, Dr. let me say this to you. As I said earlier, I'm excited because if it were not for a teacher, a headmaster, I would be in Lime Tree Garden planting yam. No.
There would be nothing wrong with planting lamb, but
No,
I know
no,
what you
no,
mean.
no. I wouldn't be where I am.
Yes, which is important.
Right?
What
no,
about
so I am so happy to hear of the cooperation
Yes.
that you say you're getting from the teachers, because that was a problem, you know, Ronnie.
Of course.
We had something that you and I wouldn't want to see. Exposed like politics in school. We look like we're getting away from that. According to what she's saying, the principal
Well, that's a report
working with
that we
the teachers,
Yes.
working with the
Yes.
parents, the children benefit. What a wonderful time.
What about-
and all of those people who are saying nothing no go so?
Well,
Because you know you
And
have
Randy, just to add that we have been providing the nutritional grants. You know, in the pandemic when we had the closure,
yes, they
we
went
had
to
to
the
send that
parents.
grant to the Ministry of Labor directly to the parents. Now we are back in the face-to-face, so the grants are now being provided to the schools, so the cooked meal can be provided there.
That's excellent.
teacher.
She is teacher.
There's somebody who is listening who don't know. Could you tell them exactly what to do now? Because they said they don't believe all of what you're saying.
Go to your
I'm
principal.
going to appeal to my parents who are listening. We have to continue the education of our students. We owe this to them. They
Right.
have a right to an education, even within an emergency. And to make this work, parents, stakeholders in our communities, teachers, principal, we all have to come together.
Yes,
You may
but what
not
they must
trust
do,
the
go to the
diploma.
teach, go to the teacher,
Go to the principal of your school. of
go
your
to the
child.
principal at the
Everybody
school.
knows
If you
all
have
the
any problem,
stakeholders.
and if you have any other problem, call Master Ronnie.
All our stakeholders are
Call
really
Mr.
trying
Thwaites.
their endeavor best to make this possible, because we understand what is at stake.
Yes.
Our students not being connected to school,
Yeah.
it's a serious implication for what will happen for our society, economically and socially. So we have a responsibility to make sure that learning continues at this time. And we're asking our parents, get your students out, get your children prepared, talk to your school, we will help you. Please do not have them sit at home not doing anything. Please do not just give up on your boys and girls. Please invest in them. Believe in your education system, support it, and get those students back into the learning environment, whether it be face-to-face, whether it be the televised program, whether it be the remote learning via online. Every student has an opportunity based on the modalities that we have available. Bear in mind that this is a global crisis. This is not just a Jamaica thing. So everybody is trying their best, and we want you to try your best to put the children first. That is what is paramount at this time.
Mr. Thwaites, allow me to ask you one more favor.
Go ahead.
There are some children who are smarter than the highest technologists we have in Jamaica. They are able to use a tablet in some class way that the makers don't know. Really, how do we control that? How do we help to monitor, to police it, to see that the tablet is being used for the kind of education
for righteous purposes
that you and I would like to see them have?
So we have to access the safety protocols. We have to train our students first and foremost in what is safe, using the device, and we have to also put the barriers in place. So in our schools, they have things that they can install to block the students from going to certain sites. So those are some of the things the system administrators in our schools that they will do to make sure that the students are focused on the learning sites and what is important. Because as you know, the competition for the broadband is very high. And so we can't have them navigating too much away from the learning opportunities as prescribed for them. So there are opportunities within our school to limit where they can go. And of course, we have put out some videos to guide parents as to how to monitor.
That's
and
good.
Parents have to do their part at home as well.
Next time we talk, can we please talk about remediation? Because that needs the attention of people in the diaspora who always want to push their children forward, Kasan, but who have to recognize that people will forget things that they learned, that they have been out of school for a long while. And we'd like to know on Educate Jamaica the detail of how the ministry is going to be able to respond to that crisis. Can we give you a grocery list for next week?
Yes, certainly, Rev. We actually have that prepared for you.
Very good.
Call it our recovery activities.
Really?
All the plans under the recovery phase of the education and emergency plan. And so we'll be sharing that. And I think the bulletin is out already in the public concerning our homework and extra lesson program. How that will be extending learning opportunities for our boys and girls, the structure in place for that. And we will talk about that when I come back next week to just share it with the public. And I'm just telling the parents now, go out, look for that bulletin and get your children registered for those programs. There's face-to-face component where the government is paying our teachers to stay back for 4 hours each week to help those students to catch up on their learning programs.
I hope that is going to be ubiquitous all over Jamaica.
Runny, them have more money than you
all over. And we have the online opportunities as well for those students who have the devices.
Dr. Kasan Troupe, thanks. Keep up the good work. We look forward to future editions of Educate Jamaica. You've told us a whole lot today. Thanks again. Dr. Kasan Troupe is the Acting Chief Education Officer in Jamaica. This has been Educate Jamaica. We are purposeful on the bridge of the features that we put forward, you see? Purposeful. There is nothing more important, we are here to affirm that, than the catching up and the advancement of the education of our children.
I don't know if the radio protocols would permit, but the bridge can't hold it, you know. The bridge have to let go this because this, Ronnie, says the answer to all of what we were asking about.
Well, I agree with you.
How do we get not everybody hearing it.
No.
But how do we get it to?
Well, I think
at least the president of the organization to get it out. It's recorded.
we're going to discuss this with Lesleyann Samuel of the Alumni Associations in a little while, so we can extend that.
Yes.
But you are correct that this should be the major topic of conversation.
Of course.
Yes. You need a.
It has everything in it. It has this. Ronnie, understand that if we lose this generation, we lose in Jamaica 10 years down the line.
More and more. But listen now, I always like to be very specific. Every school should be convening a mandatory parent-teachers meeting.
Exactly.
Within the month of January.
Exactly.
Or if you have to spill over in February, go on. But make sure you have it and not just a once-off. And a mandatory thing so that you come, so that we can identify who is responsible for which child, so that the child, you can say, this is the problem, this is the challenge, this is the opportunity, here is what the ministry says, here is what the school can offer, and you come to a better understanding of the enormity, but possibility. Wouldn't you advise that?
I don't want to credit you with too much things, but when I was Speaker of the House,
yes.
I was invited by some principals in your constituency to come and speak to the 4th form and 5th form boys. And Ronnie, what an excitement it was.
Really?
What an excitement. And I want to say to the teachers who are listening, I am available.
Yeah, great.
What would be a good thing for us to say? A community of parents would like to hear more. Yeah. And see me and you. Yes. Can you imagine a big boy like you and a little man coming but to bring the truth? Yeah. Because we are convinced education is the way, and if there was no education, there'd be no there's no joke, there'd be no future for this country.
When we come back on the public eye on the Bridge 99, we're going to be continuing these discussions, raising some more topics and yearning for that discussion with Lesleyann Samuel of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations all over the world, particularly in the United States. They are on the other side of the bridge, you see, and they're reaching out their hands, they're reaching out their hearts, yes, to make sure that we come together. Stay tuned. Beau-regard, welcome. I hear it's a mild day in New York City. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. They're saying this is going to be the warmest one in the near future.
Really?
And you know, Bo, I am a jealous man, you know, because I know many New Yorkers are listening to hear that it is Pearnel Charles, same old Pearnel Charles, saying hi, sitting beside Ronnie. Can you imagine?
Yes, sir. everyone waits on you, yourself and Mr. Thwaites each and every Wednesday. You know,
well, that's great. Thank you so much for having us. And we take pleasure in welcoming Lesleyann Samuel of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations. Lesleyann, greetings and welcome.
Greetings, Ronnie. It's afternoon, right?
It's afternoon in Jamaica, yes.
And warm indeed. Listen, we take those 40 degrees here.
Well, that's the best you can do. May I introduce you to the Honorable Pearnel Charles? He's co-hosting with me today.
Good afternoon, sir. Delighted.
Where are you now?
I am in Newton, New Jersey.
Oh, so
northwest.
You cross the bridge from Manhattan to New Jersey.
So it's about 2 hours from me to Manhattan.
You cross over the bridge.
Yes, man.
Okay, well, we are joining you over the bridge.
Yes.
Okay.
Pearnel prides himself as being an ersatz New Yorker, you know, having driven taxi in every borough and every district and probably poached. Beau-regard, if you need a roast in life, make Pearnel give you his token so you can drive taxi to you here.
All right, no problem.
We're joking. Lesleyann Samuel, greetings and thank you so much. We've been calling up your name on the public eye today in Jamaica. We were talking earlier with Dr. Kasan Troupe, the Acting Chief Education Officer. Jamaica is in the throes of an attempt to get our children back to school. Probably 30-40% haven't been re-enrolled yet, and everybody is kind of nervous about two things. One, their health, because Omicron is as ubiquitous here as it is where you are. And secondly, because there's such a whole heap of catch-up to be done after a long time out of school. How can the alumni of our schools, how can you people who devote yourselves to uplifting education where you come from, how are you helping? Tell me about the seminar that you're planning.
You know, we can only contribute. Ronnie, what can I tell you? I don't know that there's any a magic bullet that any of us can use here to bridge this problem that we all have. And please, it's not unique to Jamaica.
No.
It is really all around, but we certainly feel it a whole lot more. At least it seems that way to me.
Yes.
For our fellow Jamaicans. What we are trying very hard to do is engage in some conversation. And that's really part of what this particular seminar series that we have started is about. And it's about we are calling it towards a more perfect education. UJAA is partnering with an organization called Education Solutions International, another diaspora organization started by someone that you probably know, Dr. Thwaites, who was leading up the education task force last year.
Right.
So he has formed his own organization and partnered with organizations like UJAA, as well as the Jamaica Northeast Diaspora, the JTA, of course, and others. We are working with the JMED folks, the folks in the Middle East, really trying to come together to put our thoughts and energy towards trying to make a difference we are focused on our teachers. Figure if we can fix the teachers, help the teachers rather, then the teachers will take care of bringing the students along. Yeah. Okay. Plus it's a smaller group for us to tackle, right?
Well, it is.
As opposed to the hundreds of thousands of students.
Yes.
I must tell you that, we put this together before we saw the report from the Jamaica Education Transformation
That's Professor
Commission.
Patterson's report, yes.
Yes, I have the abridged version, and I've actually just started reviewing it. So I suspect that the follow-on sessions that we will have in this series will be a little bit more reflective of perhaps some of what we are seeing in that report, and certainly some of their recommendations. But in the meantime, our thought was, part of what we really want to encourage our teachers to do, number one, is this, to collaborate. The more that they can work together, I think the better off we all will be. We have to figure out how to help our teachers use more technology. It is difficult, we know, for our students to have laptops and tablets and internet and all of that. But once again, there is technology that is available. We think that the more progressive and thinking teachers will gravitate towards and use them to help their work in the classroom. And the third thing is to engage folks like us. We are part of the Jamaican community, certainly a part of the education community, and we want to help. So the idea here is to bring those three ideas together for a conversation. So this particular seminar that we're having next Monday evening is just the first in what we hope will be a series of 3 or 4 workshops over the next 6 months. So what we are focusing on this time, 3 things. Actually, 4 things. The first one is the technology part. We're trying to have a discussion about artificial intelligence and how we can use robotics in the classroom for lots of subjects, from primary school all the way through.
Really?
I mean, this is not limited.
Really?
Not limited at all. The second thing we want to talk a little bit about is this whole notion of policy. You know, policy drives everything that we all do, okay, in all spheres of our life. So if we understand how policy works, then we can influence it if we understand how it works. So I want to have a conversation about how policy needs to also evolve in this time, especially in this time, okay, since we have such dire needs. Third conversation will be about leadership and what we call systems thinking. So how do we adjust the way that we do things? How do we adjust our thinking, given all that we have to deal with here? Because clearly, you know, the traditional ways that we have approached education and teaching can't continue. It just can't continue to work that way, okay? Because we cannot have another pandemic and find ourselves in the same spot. So we have to start working on making some changes. And the fourth conversation, of course, is about engaging the diaspora. You know, how we are hoping to try to contribute, how we are trying to help, and hoping to engage in. So tell us now. This is, you know that we are here and want to help. Tell us how we can do that. So trying to also take this opportunity to do that. So that's it. Free.
Yes.
Anybody can come. We're looking for folks all over the globe.
Yes.
But our focus is Jamaica.
Well, listen. No, this is critical. What I love. Let's pick it apart now. Pearnel, Beau-regard, Lesleyann. Look at the coming together of the various groups that are planned for a more perfect education. No, it is the alumni. It is the Teachers Association. It is the diaspora. Did I hear you say as far as the Middle East?
Yes, the Jamaica Northeast diaspora.
Northeast diaspora.
That's Dr. Dunkley and her whole team.
Sure. So this is where the greatest concentration of Jamaicans are. Many of them, or all of them, graduates of some school. Many of them involved in education one way or another. Now this is a virtuous connection. Nobody is claiming superiority. What we're doing is building a community of concern over what is perhaps the most important issue for every single individual and certainly the whole of our nation. That's good.
We think so.
Well, Ronnie, you touch a point,
Yeah.
which I would like to make a contribution to.
Yeah.
If some of us decide to go forward,
Yeah.
and a large portion decide to stay back,
Yes, sir.
we're not going to go very far, you know. And even if we go, the separation
Right.
creates a gap there that something is going to fall.
Yeah. But hold on. We're coming up to a break, but we want to continue this. But tell me, even if we start out that way, we Jamaicans, Beau-regard, love keep company, you know.
True indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'd like to we should get closer.
No, there are some of us who have a negative position where we will not allow anybody else to agree with us. The ideas that we put forward, the proposals that we make, must be seen as being entirely unique and entirely personal, and that is a failing. But I believe that if we can link together in organizations, institutions, such as Lesleyann is pulling together, then we have the best chance of ensuring that we put aside some of those negatives and really pause on the positives. Wouldn't that be good? When we come back from the break, tell us, Lesleyann Samuel, the coordinates, how, if you can, we can link up with this, and tell us about some future of these workshops that you're planning, and how can we in Jamaica support, advance, contribute to this kind of effort, and what's the feeling of the alumni of Jamaican schools that you're in touch with? What's the feeling about the receptiveness of their participation in Jamaican education? We'll soon come back. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge. Beau-regards in New York with Irie Jam. Pearnel Charles and I are in the studios in Kingston. And Lesleyann Samuel of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations is our guest. Lesleyann, are the alumni associations happy? Do they feel as if they're regarded well enough that they are being given the entree to help in the way that their interests would have them involved in Jamaican education? Tell us straight.
I think over the last few years, we have seen a bit of discontent, I will call it, Ronnie, because many of our associations have come to feel that their schools treat them as ATMs.
ATM. You hear that, sir?
Okay.
As ATM, as if they just forward the money and
just forward the money and let us do our thing.
Yeah.
And please know that, you know, one of the things that, you know, being here in the United States and being exposed to other ways of thinking and doing things, we have come to realize a few things. You know, Jamaicans don't like to be told what to do. Okay. As a whole, you know, the view that, or just because you're in America, you think you know it all. In fact, we don't, and we don't feel that way. The fact of the matter is, however, that we do believe in accountability. That is a big thing for us here. Transparency and accountability. And so what we are saying to our schools now is, listen, you know, we are happy to help in however you ask us to help you. But then now you have to do your part and tell us that about the difference that our contribution is making.
Sure.
Okay, and prove to us that in fact we did the right thing in supporting this effort or that effort.
Yes.
And include us in the conversation when you are trying to decide whether you should do project A or project B or project C.
Yes.
Give us an opportunity to put a voice in, just a voice, not the voice, just a voice.
Yeah.
Let us share with you what we have experienced for whatever it is worth, so that you can take our views into account as well. So I think we are hearing from more of the alumni associations who are saying to their schools, to their school boards, hello, you know, we would very much like to be closer to the table when those conversations are happening. And it is not if only that it's not that at all. We simply want to be a part of the solution.
Now that technology allows for it, Mr. Charles, Beau-regard, and I'm making a proposal. It won't happen for every school, but it certainly can happen for many schools. There should be place on the school board for a member of the Alumni Association who lives in the diaspora. Yes? Beau-regard, what do you think about that?
That sounds like a positive move, a move in the right direction.
These people are contributing in aggregate, from my time, Pearnel, millions of US dollars in value every year to the Jamaican education system.
And they want to know that the sacrifice that they are making, because a lot
That's
of us
what
believe,
Mrs. Samuel is saying.
a lot of people believe that because they're over there, right? They are in the snow.
Yes.
They are in all of the problem.
And them just must forward it.
And they don't forget us.
Yes.
And they make major contribution, major sacrifice. They want to know that it is not
being frittered away.
You know, into the pockets of some people.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
and they want to know that they can also go beyond making the money. They can make suggestions based on their experience that they can help the country
and represent what. But Lesleyann, what you say, Pearnel is your advocate in this regard. You know, that's great.
I'm loving that. Loving that. You know, we do have a few instances where alumni in Jamaica are a part of the school boards, but we have not seen the proliferation of members from the diaspora.
Yes.
But you know, one step at a time. Okay. We are certainly here and available. One need only ask, and as you said, the technology affords it now.
Yes.
You know, no question that we have to get on any plane.
To come. No, a Zoom meeting is de rigueur.
Be there and take all this time to travel and whatnot.
Yes.
I mean, literally at the push of a button. Here we are.
Just as we're doing here. And
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important. We need that connectivity. Because the relationship has proven itself. A large number of people who graduate from Jamaican education institutions have always, and let us face it, will continue to live abroad for a period of time or maybe permanently relocate. We need their
But they have
connection.
never left us running.
Well, this is the point, sir.
The
No,
point
that's
that
it.
I am saying,
Yes, yes,
I have been there.
yes.
I used to send home $1. I told you how the dollar used to break up in a chop on flour, chop on sugar, chop on rice.
I love it.
And it starts for a whole week.
Lesleyann?
Because $1 was 7 shillings.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
am telling you, the hurt that people abroad are having
When they send it,
is when they have to get up in the snow,
yes.
fall down in the snow,
pull up the barrel.
pull up
and-
the barrel and carry it, go send come,
Yeah.
and I hear you don't appreciate it.
No.
And they say, and they walk tell the rotten, or them can't take it
Oh,
off.
Lord have mercy.
And maybe you should tell them now that through you and some of the guys who came on earlier, some of the gentlemen from
Yes.
Westmoreland and
Sure.
London and Toronto,
Other
that
diaspora.
a board
Yes.
has the Minister of Health, and we
Okay.
need to find out.
To receive medical
receive
supplies.
supplies.
And the Ministry of Education, I believe, has some protocols.
Right.
But they need, we need on the bridge, let's signal, we need on the bridge to bring those people in education and health so we can broadcast it through you, Beau-regard, and others.
Right.
To ensure that people know
Know who
what to do. Yes.
and know the quality of people who are receiving it,
Sure.
that it is not being sold in the market,
Yes.
that they're not thieves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, sure.
but what the sacrifice they are making,
Is
it is
regarded
going to the people
to the
who they
children.
really want to help.
Yes. There is a
Exactly.
there's a thought I want to put to you though, Lesleyann. The emphasis on technology, it is undoubtedly appropriate. We are becoming a digitized world, digitized society, but you know, I'm hoping that there is space also, however remotely it can be done, however sporadically it may be, but alumni and alumni abroad need to find a space in our school system to reinforce social values, you know, ma'am. That is a
Absolutely.
real difficulty. Things like simple things like punctuality, like respectful speech, like the virtues of honesty, reliability, compassion, faithfulness. These things are not optional extras or things that can be left to the person or somebody else like that. Your lives show something else.
Ronnie, when we listen to the two teachers
Yes, this
from
morning.
abroad this morning,
Yes.
we want to know that the same connectivity you're talking about,
yes.
that they could be talking to a group of teachers at a teachers organization, a teachers association, and letting them learn from them, because when you go abroad, you know, Ronnie, you get some information that you didn't get here.
Well, I think we should tell Beau-regard and Lesleyann that this morning we had an interesting discussion with Keisha Thorpe and Tricia Thorpe, the two
Yes,
sisters. And remember,
the
Keisha
winner
was
of
the Global Teacher
Teachers
Award.
Award, mhm.
Beau-regard, I wonder if you know that. A Jamaican teacher working in the United States, yes, is a champion teacher of the world, you know, B.
She had won the $1 million.
The 1 million, that you remember.
1 million.
Well, that's important. No, but we're large, but we have to make sure that we are getting the full dividend from that kind of investment. And that teacher is able to say that it is her grandmother from Trelawney who raised her, and it is her exposure at St. Andrews High School that has helped to make both of them what they are.
Right. And they are
to me, this is-
willing and ready
To help back.
to help
Sure.
back
Yeah,
to Jamaica.
this is proof of concept, you know, Mrs. Samuel.
Yeah, but Ronnie, here's the thing that I would really like to capture in this
Sure.
conversation, please.
Sure.
All those critical values that you
Yes.
mentioned about punctuality and
Yes.
honesty and all those things. Those things begin in the home.
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, you know, one of the conversations that we're having, yes, we want to do as much as we can for our teachers, but we have to we must at this point
Yeah.
also not forget our parents.
Got you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because they are the ones who are molding their children.
Mhm.
Those grandparents who said, listen, I may not have the education, but you going to school.
Yeah.
You are not staying here.
Yeah.
You're going to go to school every day and you're going to get an education.
You're going to do
How
your
did that
homework.
come about?
Right.
Okay,
You know,
that began at home.
Yes.
You know,
All right.
madam, what?
So, that's a whole cultural shift
Well,
that has to happen, and we have to all own that one.
Yes, we do. And
Okay.
it has to be promoted just in the way that you are doing it.
Exactly.
And it words can't do it all, but words can encourage
No.
people to change their behavior. And investing in the schools can be a part of that, can inculcate that.
Randy, you just talk about technology.
Yeah,
Can you imagine somewhere in Clarendon
yeah,
that, let's say Clarendon College,
uh-huh,
where the principal invites all the parents
yeah,
to come this evening because we want a parent-teachers meeting,
Yeah.
and through technology we are going to make contact abroad,
Abroad.
with,
Yeah.
with these
My Lord,
who is
look at
going to talk to the parents.
Look at that.
And say, look, you know where I come from?
Yes, yes.
I come from Trelawney.
Yeah, yeah,
I am this.
Yeah.
And parents say, boy,
yes. Listen to me. There's prospect. There's hope.
and look at the people them.
Yeah.
Look where them come from and look
Yeah.
where they are.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I am always quarreling that somebody need to talk to the rural people, talk to them in an organization, talk to them in their language, because they will learn. But when them go back home and say to them picnic, nobody now here. Me want you turn like that, you know.
Yeah,
Me want you come like that woman and me sip on the
Yeah.
thing there, you know.
yeah,
So go study your lesson.
yeah,
I told you
Take
about
your
the
book.
lady. She have 2 battle lamp
yeah,
and she have a twin girls
Yeah.
and she sit down on a step
yeah.
and people laugh after them. It told them a big something now in the world.
Well, we have so many instances of that. Lesleyann Samuel, the number of schools who are engaged in UJAA, I was surprised some time ago when I realized that your membership now includes some primary schools.
Oh, lots of primary schools. We have
Lots
about
of-
10.
Whoa,
We
that's
have
great.
about 10 primary schools, and,
Yes.
and we work very, very closely with them.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, this is off topic. This is not what I was supposed to come here to talk about, but I have to.
Don't mind.
But there is a, you talk about technology. So we were linked up through Dr. Dunkley, actually, with a company called Caribbean eBook. They
Right.
have a tool called the Learn It. It's a tablet, okay? Has over 100 applications on it and does not require the internet.
Whoa.
So guess what? We are trying to get them into all of our primary schools. And as I said to Joel Webb, who is the founder of this company,
Yes.
based out of Massachusetts, Jamaica. I don't think he's Jamaican, but it don't matter. He's from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But equally concerned about children in the Caribbean, period.
Right.
And so what I said to him was, listen, Joel, my goal is to get this tablet into every primary school in Jamaica. Okay? The
You said
tablet
that it
is
doesn't
only
need internet?
$120. But every time I buy 100, he gives me 20.
Whoa.
Hello?
Every
Okay.
time you buy 100, he gives you
Every
20.
time I buy 100, he gives me 20.
Look at that, man.
Where else you getting them kind of dividends?
No.
Right?
And
So,
gosh, what a gift to
know,
our people.
yes.
What a
Yes,
difference it can make.
exactly.
Yes.
So we need to talk
Tell me
about that
again.
another time.
Yes. But
I'll
that's
come
that.
back with Joel, and we can show you.
But this is it. Well, first, 2 things. First of all, we stand ready if there's a purpose, but it is to link the diaspora even more closely with the Jamaican experience and
Exactly.
ever more centrally in education, and to radiate this through the diaspora community by our links with Irie Jam and other platforms. So that's really important. But this kind of spirit that allows that generosity, yes, that is of the essence of who we are as Jamaicans. I'm sure other nations may be like it, but we're special in that regard. We know.
Very special.
Yeah, we know
When
how
you
to
see
give.
what I have discovered.
What have you discovered, sir?
Few months ago, I was comfortable
Yeah,
with our family abroad
yeah,
sending a barrel of Christmas and sending,
yeah,
1 or 2
One or
picnic
two.
for help go school.
uh-huh.
This sort of discussion that we've been having
Yes.
is better than sending 2 barrels,
Well,
because you're going to educate a lot of the so-called educated me and you.
sure.
The school, the principals, and the parent
Parents
teachers,
key.
we are now gone out of the material things
Yeah, into the spiritual and
into
moral
the
things.
moral,
Sure, social.
technical,
Yes.
cultural,
Sure.
social, That is where we should be going.
But-
And we're going
You
to
have to
lift,
educate
we
the
lift the
whole
nation to a
child.
higher level.
Yes.
The whole child.
Yes.
The whole child, the whole family.
Well,
You can't do one and not the other.
well, what I'm picking up from you, Ja, in this interview is that you recognize, as we recognize but need to actualize, that effective education involves bringing the home and the parent into the school environment in a way that we have not done
Absolutely.
up to now.
Ronnie,
And that has to be the prospect going
that
forward.
has to be.
Absolutely.
And we are going to depend on education, people like you and others,
Yes.
and to our friend in New York, who know a lot of them.
Yeah, man.
Because the point is that if they know,
Yeah.
not everybody can send a barrel,
No.
It's not
No.
that they can't, don't have the time to put it together, but they can communicate.
Yes.
Technology can make you talk to 500 people
Sure.
instead of 5 people.
And,
And it's better to 500.
yeah, if we only were able to get all our children back in school very shortly, rather than just the 60% or the 67%, what a simple but profound difference that would make. Beauregard, you're listening to us. What do you
Yes, sir.
think we can? Do you think these kinds of things will interest your listeners on Irie Jam? All of them. You're a George's boy. All of the others are graduates of some school. Are we touching a chord, do you think?
I think so. I think you the guys are definitely touching some points that the listeners here in the diaspora would love to see some action being taken on.
How do people get in touch with UJAA, Lesleyann Samuels?
UJAUSA.org.
UJAA USA. Write it down, Beauregard.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes, and listen, we provide you a space on the bridge anytime that you need it. We want to follow these seminars very closely and look forward
Yes.
to hearing of future topics. Thanks so much for today. Lesleyann
Thank you. I
Samuels.
very much appreciate
A
it.
pleasure.
And look for that flyer that I mentioned for this seminar and how to register.
Keep us
Easy.
involved. We'll be happy to publicize it. Lesleyann
Thanks so
Samuels
much.
of the
Very
Union
much
of Jamaica Alumni Associations. This lady has worked so hard, you see, Pearnel.
You know what happened, Ronnie?
Yeah,
Sitting here,
yeah.
something came to my mind.
Tell me.
We have to get, like the president of the Parent Teachers Association,
Yeah.
the president of the Principals Association, right? The teachers, we have to get somebody at that high level.
Yeah,
All of this material cannot go to waste.
I agree.
Should not go to waste.
No, and we're going to, and we are reminded that these interviews can be repeated, can be heard by those who weren't able to be with us at this particular time on the YouTube channel, The Bridge 99 FM, and so it can have a wider dissemination. We're taking a break on the public eye. We'll soon come back. Pearnel Charles joins me in the studio in Kingston as we welcome Reverend Dr. Stevenson Samuels. How are you, sir?
Fine, I'm fine, Sir Thwaites.
Happy
Good
to-
to be talking with you.
Thank you very much, and welcome Pearnel Charles. He's our co-host today.
Oh, greetings to you, Sir Charles.
Oh, yeah. You sound Jamaican when you call Mr. Charles.
Well, he's very Jamaican. And we're linking with the diaspora, with our friends at Irie Jam Station, which
Excellent.
covers the tri-state in New York. That's the purpose of the Bridge Radio.
Yes.
The National Prayer Breakfast, an annual event, takes place tomorrow morning.
Right.
And I wanted our people to hear from someone who is involved with the organization of the prayer breakfast, giving the continuing rationale and purpose of having this event, and perhaps giving us an idea of what is to be expected tomorrow. Why is it special in the crucible that Jamaica finds itself? Dr. Stevenson Samuels, let's hear you.
Well, let me just say, first of all, thank you. Thank you very much, Ronnie, for having us.
Sure.
We are highly honored. This is the 42nd airing of the National Prayer Breakfast, National, in fact, may I say, National Leadership
Yes,
Prayer
prayer
Breakfast.
breakfast.
Right. And essentially, the breakfast emerged as a tool to create peace and unity and reconciliation between entities that might differ in this nation, bringing together Jamaica as one, especially at the leadership level. So you're talking about leadership and you're talking about reconciliation. And I think that those are the two extremely powerful targets and goals that any nation can seek to go after. The raising of the bar of leadership and the establishment of reconciliation.
We have a society which is so talented, which is so spirit-filled, and yet we unfortunately have allowed the evil one to divide us in so many different ways. This is something that Pearnel and I tried to be an antidote for. We couldn't be more different racially, in religious affiliation, in political loyalty, and yet we are nationalists. We believe in the humanity and in the divinity of the Jamaican people.
Absolutely.
This is 42 years. We still have to keep trying. We must never weary in well-doing, as you'll tell us. But is the prayer breakfast meeting its objectives? Is that even a question to ask?
We are.
Yes.
And maybe one way in which we can reflect that,
yes,
even though you may not agree, is that yourself and Pearnel are sitting together with one program.
Yes.
Fellowshipping together, engaging the nation, challenging together.
Yes.
And that, I think, is a big thing.
True.
But the truth is, when you look at the political mayhem that was happening late 1970s going into the 80s.
Yes, when they started.
Right throughout the life of this country.
Yes.
It was at a high point at that time. And I would say that the political tribalism, though it still exists, it is not as strong as in those days.
Diaspora people will be glad to hear that. How critical is the Christian message to the development and the healing of the Jamaican nation, Reverend Stevenson Samuels?
Oh boy, somebody like you would understand that very well, Ronnie, and also the man himself with you, Sir Charles, because a big part of the Christian message, whether it is from the Catholic or from the Adventist, throwing words here now.
No, important.
Is the message of reconciliation. In fact, the scripture says that God has reconciled us unto himself. In other words, he has restored a relationship back with man and himself. And having done that, he has now given us the ministry of reconciliation. So one of the foremost tasks of the church is to create a reconciled society, a society that is reconciled to God, and a society that is experiencing reconciliation between each other. That is our function. And I'm telling you, if the world experiences that, then the world will be healed.
Doctor, I will say something to you, and
yes,
I have to restrain myself, because I don't want to run it.
That would be unusual.
The last time I heard of a prayer breakfast was last year.
Yes.
Yes.
And I didn't hear about it again until today.
Yes.
Right.
You cannot have that. The objective of a prayer breakfast, as you outlay now, have to be more visible, more continuous, more vociferous. It has to, you can't just.
I think we would.
I used to come every day. I don't go now because it is an invitation I'm getting to remind me that to get all of those churches together and all of those religions together as one is a mighty move forward. But it's a one morning thing. You need to consolidate that and make it look like a light.
Yeah, but the message
beyond that.
The message, Steve Samuels, is not a one morning thing, is it?
No, certainly not.
Yes.
And what we are hoping is that the nation will embrace and take on the message and promote it through different activities. So we don't see the prayer breakfast as a one event that will do all of the work. We see ourselves as a part of the process. And so this is what we are doing. And so another entity is doing something else, and another parent, like Pearnel Charles, is with their family and is creating great youngsters out of that family. And then a school over there is doing so. It really cannot be one entity. It has to be the family. It has to be a prayer breakfast. It has to be an apostolic church. It has to be and so different ones of us are putting in our piece. And at the end of the day, you put everything together. Like those sheets that are fitted, those sheets that our parents used to make out of all kind of scraps, as we call it.
Yes.
What kind of sheet? You mean the bag sheet?
Yes.
The one seam bag?
One scrapses and one seam bag and flower
One
bag.
seam bag and the contrast,
Yes,
like
sir.
a mattress?
Yes.
You know what happened. But Pastor, let me just say this to you.
Yes.
I don't want you to believe I'm criticizing you. I'm mourning that you have a value in your hand. That,
Yes.
in my opinion, I don't feel that it is being spread to those who are thirsty. They're not
Yes.
getting this water that would help them on. So I don't want to hear that next week we're going to have a prayer breakfast. I don't hear it again until next year a prayer breakfast.
Yes.
So I want, in other words, you have all the churches one place.
You have all the politics one
You have
place.
all the politics one place.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what you have in your hand?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And sir, I don't know if you have all the electronic medias and all
All
the
of them.
other medias there.
All of them.
But
yeah.
you must have this is one of the things that the people have accepted. Prayer breakfast. So therefore, do something with it. Get it
Yeah, but
out.
but Pearnel, it's for us to do something with it, which is why we have Steve Samuels on the line.
That is-
and
yes.
I'm going to not throw words. I'm going to be very direct. Tomorrow morning, Andrew and Bruce will read the 2 lessons at the prayer breakfast, and they will join hands to say prayer around their table.
Andrew and who?
Andrew and Mark.
No,
That's right.
and Marcus a while ago, you know.
Oh, what have I said? All right, Andrew and Mark.
Sharper than sharp.
But
Boy,
I
quick
understand the point, I mean.
Yes.
I understand the point.
And therefore,
And
when
what you'll be doing there is
yeah.
complementing
Yeah.
the pastors
Yeah.
with their religious part,
Yeah.
with the other part,
Yeah.
and broadening it
So therefore,
that all of us can
yes,
get
and that means that what happens in Gordon House next Tuesday can't go on like it used to.
to. Not supposed
And
to.
it means
Absolutely.
it means that a deep conversion of all of us, including our leaders, has to be, whether we are in a system of COVID, crime, corruption, all these things, whether we're making a fundamental decision in each of our lives, personal and political, that we're going to change it to follow Jesus.
Absolutely.
And Pastor, excuse me for bringing this in, because I am worried when I hear the statistics. If we have what Ronnie has just described as
Yes,
a
sir.
togetherness,
Please give me
church and politics and others,
Yes.
why would somebody who haven't even gone to high school able to influence such a major percentage of our population?
not to
That
boy.
what we are saying now that will make you keep your life. We tell them then not to take.
that's a very important test too, eh?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Stevenson Samuels, thank you so much for this. We're happy to
My
support
pleasure.
and thank you for the advance and the advocacy that you are doing.
Yes,
Reverend
and
Dr.
Ronnie-
Stevenson Samuels.
Ronnie.
Yes.
Ronnie, can I just invite all of Jamaica to
Yes.
tune in tomorrow, 7:30. We
Yes.
are there, the National Leadership Prayer Breakfast.
Almost every media platform will have it. We'll encourage our people to
Absolutely.
do just that, and those abroad. Thanks so much for today. Beau-regard,
having me.
I hope you'll be able to link, or some of your people will link into the National Prayer Breakfast in Jamaica. Thank you so much for your company on Irie Jam today.
Thank you, sir, and thank you also, Mr. Charles.
Thank you, my
All the
brother.
best.
And I'm coming to New York to look for you next month.
Let's tell you
All
now.
right, no problem.
Pearnel, thank you so much for your company. Joining us on Public Eye today, the Honorable Pearnel Charles. Thanks to LaFane. Thanks to all of the staff of The Bridge and Irie Jam who have made Public Eye possible. Check you next Wednesday. Ronnie T gives way to Nicky Z on The Bridge 99 FM.